What's up, guys? It is the spookiest season of the year, and we do what we always do on Halloween and watch as many horror movies as we can. So I am Chris.
I'm Nick.
And today we're doing a list video.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
You want to start us off? What do you got in mind for your first one?
Well, my first one I think you both watched because I think you recommended it to me, but it's What's Inside.
Yeah, dude.
Netflix movie that came out recently that I thought was very interesting concept. So it's What's Inside is about a group of friends that gather for a pre-wedding party that descends into an existential nightmare when an estranged friend arrives with this mysterious game that awakens long hidden secrets, desires, and grudges. And I think this movie brings up like a lot of philosophical questions, like what would you do if you had a chance to be somebody else for a little while? And things get a little wild and interesting, and people make choices they probably shouldn't.
There were things about it that reminded me a little bit of the premise of Talk to Me, where there's like this thing that is like way too serious to be just messing around with at a party, but people are messing around with it at a party. But there's so many twists in this movie that you can't really predict coming, and some really memorable characters. Like it wasn't just like throwaway dialogue. Like I especially remember Forbes. Like yeah. Forbes was something about Forbes was just a really memorable character, and I liked the visual choices that they did. Like not just the camera work too, certainly, but also like the whole thing they did with like the red lens and the whatever blue lens or whatever color it was, where they're shifting back and forth to show you things. So yeah, that was a really visually interesting way to tell that kind of story. And I was just surprised because it was like a Netflix original movie, and you kind of have low expectations for those, and this one was kind of a diamond in the rough a little bit. So I got another one that we both watched, and I haven't talked to you about it. This is one I watched as a kid, just out of like shock factor. But I'm really glad I rewatched it now because I really didn't remember a whole lot about it. I just remember like the most shocking parts. But watching this as an adult was a lot better. But it's Audition. Which is a Japanese horror movie. It was directed by Takashi Miike, and it feels like a relatively low budget movie, and I don't think it made a whole lot of money actually originally either, but it's been really well reviewed and looked back upon really highly, and this is like an iconic horror movie now. And just that, like, it's like the switch gets flipped on you because a huge chunk of the beginning of this movie is so tame, and it doesn't even feel like a horror movie. And if you were watching this for the first time, you really can't see how this is going. If I was going to describe it without spoiling anything at all, I would just say a man's wife dies at the beginning. His son encourages him to get a new wife, and the way they go about that is kind of a trickery kind of way, and the results are not good. So yeah. Did you like this as much as me? I mean, I think this is like iconic horror right here.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot. I liked how it was a big kind of switch up on you, like you said. Like you think it's like a love story type of movie almost, but you know it's gonna change. And like he's one of these iconic Japanese directors, and I watched another one of his movies and want to watch more. And this movie made me go down like a Japanese movie rabbit hole, different because but not all horror movies, but this one really worked for me.
There's some shocking stuff here that is really genuinely hard to watch, and there's some iconic stuff that just burns itself into your brain for sure.
Oh yeah, man.
On this one, so
there's like some stuff that is like kind of like cringeworthy to like a Saw effect, you know.
It is, yeah, and I think this was a couple years before that, but it doesn't go full like Hostel where there's no story underneath. Like I think they're trying to tell a story about like one thing about like what women have to deal like abuse and things like that. So it gets if you want to really dive deep into it, there's something there. But highly recommend that one. What's next for you?
So next for me was Apartment 7A.
Maybe I shouldn't have bothered. Every single thing handed to you on a silver platter.
There's something wrong with these people.
which was the prequel to Rosemary's Baby that came out last year. It came out this year?
It came out this year, yeah.
Yeah, if you've seen Rosemary's Baby, great movie, shitty director.
FBI, open up!
But
Yeah.
this is very similar to that movie. It is kind of like just another telling of Rosemary's Baby, but it's about Terry D'Onofrio, who is in Rosemary's Baby briefly. But it's kind of about how the family, the satanic cult, messed with her in this movie. And so you know how it's going to end if you've seen Rosemary's Baby, but I think I had a good time. I don't think it got reviewed very well, but like you get more of like the satanic cult side of it in this one. The only thing, there is like a scene where I think they f***ed up, because in Rosemary's Baby, I don't know if you remember, there is a scene where Rosemary meets Terry and they're both doing laundry, like in the basement, and they kind of have this scene in here, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Rosemary, but there's no way she would have been living in the building, because the old lady whose apartment her and her husband move into is still inhabited by the old lady. So I think they f***ed up there. But I could be wrong.
I feel like it's hard to set yourself up to, like, when you do something like this, you're setting yourself up to like live up to one of the most iconic horror movies of all time, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm sure the expectations were high, and maybe that's leading to some of those more negative reviews, because it's like they set themselves up to be this amazing horror movie. I might still check this out, even though, you know, if you liked it more than most people, it might be worth checking out. So my next one is another one we both watched. It was it's Woman of the Hour.
What's the question?
Which one of you will hurt me?
And Bachelor number 3, I'm counting on you. What are girls for?
Woman of the Hour was a movie on Netflix. It's the directorial debut of Anna Kendrick, and she's starring in the movie, and it's based on a true story. And I like Anna Kendrick a lot, and I think this is an interesting true story. But it seemed like it was focusing on... So it's the true story of this serial killer, Rodney Alcala, who was in the middle of this crime spree and found himself as a contestant on the dating game. It's like 1979 or something. Found himself as a contestant on the dating game and won the show. And I was kind of thinking, like, that is an interesting thing that happened, but I don't know how you make a whole movie out of this. And that's kind of how I felt leaving the movie, where it's like, yeah, that probably wasn't the thing to focus on. Like, and I found out more about the real story, and there's so much interesting to the real story that you don't get in this, that I was like, maybe the whole thing, like, it could have been like a cliff note, the whole dating game thing in this, but maybe that was the wrong thing to focus on this movie, because you actually almost could have done away with Anna Kendrick's character being such a big figure and focused more on, like, the crazy things about Rodney Alcala if you're going to do this. And they just changed so much that it makes me kind of not... I didn't really have as much to latch onto, and it's kind of told in an unconventional way. So I don't know. You might have liked this more than me. What did you think about it?
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I mean, it does jump around quite a bit to crimes he committed. Like I kept getting confused with the timeline. So I'm like, wait, are they in 77 or 78? Because it'd be like 71, 79, 77, 78. I'm like, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I would have been more interested in kind of like what was going on with him rather than focusing it around the dating game aspect, which was interesting because they're, you know, I don't know the whole story, but apparently somebody was there that kind of recognized him from potentially murdering one of their friends. But yeah, it was just kind of okay. They could have done it differently and maybe been better.
I get what they were trying to do with, like, trying to tell you more of the victim side of things and stuff like that, but it doesn't even... There's a lot of fiction here. Like, the person in the audience who's trying to say that they recognize that guy, that's a whole fictional story. There's just the whole way the whole dating show... The part that there is video footage of to compare against is, like, it's nothing like that at all. So it's just a little unusual, but not a terrible... Like, I don't see hating this movie. It's just, like, you know, I wanted to like it a little more than that. But what do you got next?
Actually, I included this one because I fucking hated it.
Well, what did you think?
I hated it.
Okay.
And I don't think anybody should watch it. It's a waste of your fucking time, and I don't know how it's reviewed so highly. It's a French movie called Climax. A24 movie, and it fucking sucks. All right? It's a bunch of interpretive dance for like 45 fucking minutes. And then guys standing around talking about wanting to with no lube for 15 minutes while they're all drinking this sangria that's laced with LSD, and then nobody can handle their shit because everybody starts freaking out, and then they throw some guy out in the cold, and this mom throws her little fucking kid into this closet, and everybody's freaking out. And it's like, you're a bunch of fucking artists. You've never done LSD before. I don't care what the dosage is, man. Just chill out. It's
like somebody spikes the punch, right, or something.
Yeah, and it's like people getting set on fire and just like fighting and all this shit. It's like, come on. But really, the big fucking thing is it takes over an hour for it to even get to that point, and then half of the movie's over. And then even when it does start happening, it's not that interesting.
So I think I've started this movie in the past and not finished it. And I think this is just one that's not for me. I like this director when he did... I like the movie Enter the Void. I liked Enter the Void, and he's a very like visionary director, like does a lot of crazy things with the camera and stuff like that. And he's doing that same thing here. But this is a hard one to... I think most people that would be a fan of this have already seen it. Like, it's hard to recommend. So I get where you're coming from. I didn't even make it to the end of it. So
I should have turned it off. I don't know how I made it through the whole movie. 45 minutes of just them dancing and shit was so fucking terrible. It's a terrible opening, too. It's way too long of an opening, interviewing, like, 15, 20 people on, like, an old... And it's just got, like, old VHSs over here. Like, check it out. I've seen some Dario Argento and some cool movies, and I'm making this into a horror movie. But fuck this movie.
My next one is Mandy.
Mandy. I, too, am a special one. Let us be so very special together.
And this is one I'm really excited to talk about. Have you seen this before?
Man, I think I have, but there was a couple of movies I think that came out around the same time with Nicolas Cage that the like box art looks the same. So I don't remember if I've seen Mandy or if I've seen Color Out of Space or if I've seen both.
Mandy is like a movie that was made for me. I was just so happy with this. This is bliss to me. It just rips. It's about perfect, and it's just this perfect symphony of like heavy metal and psychedelic, hallucinogenic sci-fi, fantasy, horror. It's a revenge story, and I'm a sucker for a revenge story. It's got Nick Cage. It's got like the full range of Nick Cage. So you've got like the quiet, calm, normal Nick Cage, and you've got completely unhinged, homicidal, shrieking maniac Nick Cage, and kind of everything in between. But man, some of the best Nick Cage performance I've ever seen, and the crescendo of the whole movie is so satisfying and epic. It's not going to be for everyone, for sure. I mean, this is a very stylistic movie. It looks like it's shot on actual film, and if it's not, it's got like a grain imposed to it. But there's so much color in this. Like, things will just be bathed in red or blue or purple. The sky will look crazy. Like, parts of this movie, the scenery looks like a death metal album cover. The score is metal. There's like a scene where he's forging a machete, like a axe out of metal while metal music's playing in the background. It's just insane. And there's a homicidal, acid-riddled biker gang that reminds me of like a mixture between the War Boys from the Mad Max world and like Slipknot, and also like Tizo Touchdown is one of the members of the group. It's just nuts. And I was like thinking of things during the movie, like that would be really dope if they did that, and they would do that, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
It's crazy evil.
Yeah.
Is that the one you've seen?
I mean, I think so, but I might have been like intoxicated or something,
Fair.
and I don't remember.
I'm just in love with it. It made me want to watch everything this guy's done. The director's named Panos Cosmatos. He's got another movie coming about like vampires or something with Kristen Stewart and Oscar Isaac coming up next year. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. And I got to go back and watch his previous movie, Beyond the Black Rainbow. I got to watch that soon. So.
It's supposed to feel